Hello everyone, welcome back to Models Talk. This is Katerina.
And I'm Candace.
And today we have a very stylish guest. She's a huge fan of soccer.
And her name is Sahar Golestani. And seriously, you guys, she's like the #1 football fan. So you gotta stay tuned. Now, Sahar, you're originally from Canada.
Yes.
So how did you get from Canada all the way down to LA?
So I'm from a small town in Canada called Walnut Grove, Langley. It's close to Vancouver, just about 30 to 40 minutes. But population is around 15,000 at the time that I lived there. So my dad's nickname for me was always Hollywood. So I'd come downstairs like in like bright pink skirts and like glitter all over my face. He's like, this is not Hollywood. Like everyone's in jeans and t-shirt. It just wasn't my style, never really fit in there. So years later, fast forward into my adult life, I met a guy, and he's my now fiance.
Oh, awesome.
So we were dating, we've been together for 7 years. And so, but it was a couple years ago, he's like, I have to move to LA, like for work. And so I came to visit him, and then he proposed in LA. So I feel like it was just meant to be. Like I always knew I was going to be here. I just didn't know when or how. Because you know, from Canada to move to America, it's a little bit difficult. You can't just like pick up and go. You need, like, a visa and all this kind of things. So it kind of worked out for me in the end.
So did you have aspirations at that time to be like a model or an actress or be in the entertainment industry? Or it was just that you felt different from everybody else and you just had to express yourself?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I've always been entertaining my family. So like that's just been my audience. Like they think I'm like so funny. I don't know if I'm that funny, but they think I'm hilarious. So I've always been entertaining them, and I always wanted to model. But obviously having a Middle Eastern background, my dad wouldn't let me model because he associated modeling with taking your clothes off, which is not true, right?
So is that just so I know, it's a religious thing for Middle Eastern, or is it more cultural, or both?
It's kind of cultural, a little bit of cultural. So it's just like, he doesn't obviously mind me being on camera and taking pictures, but it's just like at a young age, like, can you make these decisions for yourself? If someone's going to tell you like, dress this way, or, you know, take your shirt off, are you going to do it? So he just never really wanted me to get into it when I was younger. So it wasn't until I was actually older that I started modeling. Oh,
that's awesome. And you also did acting as well when you're up there.
I started acting in Vancouver. It kind of started with me wanting to model, and I was serving at a restaurant, and the table that I was serving was a group of acting agents. And so they all kind of apparently pooled their business cards in a pile, and then somebody picked one. They're like, yes, like I'm going to go ask her if I could sign her. So he came to me, he's like, have you thought about acting? I was like, I want to model. He's like, no, you don't. Like, you have to be an actor. Like, come do this. So I just was like, you know what, let me just try it out. So I did it. So I did a lot of commercials and stuff in Vancouver. So if you had to choose between acting and modeling, what would you choose? Or you see it as the same thing? I definitely like modeling more. I think it's more me. I love acting, but there's just a lot more pressure. And I feel like you really have to be passionate about it because it's a lot of work, you know, like reading your lines. And one time I was on set for a TV show, and it was like crazy. Like you go out and people are doing their lines, and then they're coming back and they're already memorizing for tomorrow's episode. So you really have to be like extremely passionate. Like you have to want to do that. You want to be the actor. Exactly. Well, that's really interesting because a lot of people use modeling as a segue to something else, and quite often it's to acting. But for you, if you choose modeling over acting, how long do you see yourself in the modeling world? And then after that, do you already have a plan for something else, maybe fashion or? I see myself in the modeling world for like another few years. I really am obsessed with soccer. I know, I was going to ask you about this. What is your obsession with football? You have to tell me. So yes. Let's call it football so that the Europeans don't get angry at us. So I was, even though I was like Miss Hollywood when I was growing up, inside I was a tomboy. So I wanted to be like my guy cousins. So they all watched football, and then I got into it and I kept watching it as well. And then it just kind of developed from there. It became like this obsession. Never really played. I'm not that athletic. Like I wanted to be, but I'm just not good. But you love the game. I love it. So now you blog about it. Yes. So do you blog to women or men or both? Or I try to blog to both. Okay. You know, there aren't that many women that are into it as much as men, obviously. So I try to kind of keep it fun when I'm vlogging so that women will want to watch it too, because it's not boring, you know what I mean? Because most of these vlogs that you watch, it's like a lot of information. I try to keep it fun, whether I'm doing an impression of a soccer player, whether I'm like delivering you news, but I try to do it like in a fun way, you know?
Oh, that's hilarious. I think it's awesome. And you're also a fashion blogger too.
Yes. Yeah, I love fashion.
As we can see, I love your outfit. It's so
Thank you
cute.
so much.
As soon as we saw each other this morning, I was like, okay, I've got to take a picture of your outfit, and then I have to get the labels. I'm going to get the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I just love fashion so much. Like, I love pairing things together, and usually when I go shopping, I kind of look at something on a hanger. I'm like, this is weird, and I'm just going to go for it. The weirder, the better to me. Like, today, like, I'm wearing platforms, and I was like, should I wear heels or should I wear platforms? And I was like, you know what? Just go with the platform.
I know, and they're just perfect.
Thank you.
I've actually never asked this question before, but you made me think of it. As a woman, do you feel like, what do you feel like fashion does for you? Do you feel like it empowers you? Do you feel like you're expressing your creativity?
Yeah.
Why are you so obsessed with fashion?
I definitely think it does express your creativity and just your personality in general. Like, I feel like I can go in my closet and pick out things, and it kind of just expresses who I am as a person, because as a model, people are quick to judge you. Like, how is she going to talk? Like, is she like this? Is she like that? Like, she probably doesn't have a brain. Like, all these different types of things that people assume about you. So I feel like fashion kind of, you know, you get dressed and people kind of see, okay, so that's interesting. And they strike up a conversation with about what you're wearing, and then all of a sudden leads into your personality.
So it's like a conversation starter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now let's talk about some of the challenges, because you kind of told me earlier that you've seen since you've been in the business, some of the challenges that you've had to overcome or that you face.
So one of the things that I've noticed, I'm lucky enough that this doesn't really affect me just because of my upbringing and how I was raised and the things I've been through. But what I see is that sometimes you walk into a photo shoot and there's obviously a bunch of models there, right? They're all booked for the same job. And there's just this ripple effect of negativity in the room.
Interesting.
Not all the time, but for me, oftentimes I feel this way, and I feel like as women, we should just be empowering each other. We should be embracing each other's beauty, but more often than not, it's just a judgment that's being passed, like, oh, she's my competition now, but not necessarily. We're booked for the same thing. Like, we're both serving different looks and different purposes. So I just feel like for younger models, people who are coming into LA, like let's say you're 17, 18 years old and you walk into these situations, you don't really know, like, you just oftentimes you just assume, why does this person hate me? Like, why do all these people hate me? You know, like, that's the first thing you think of is everyone here hates me. And then it's just a spiral. Like, especially when you're young and you're easily influenced, you're just like, you know, this is rough. What should I do? Should I drink? Should I do this? Should I do that? To kind of ease the, I guess, pain of it all.
Well, what have you done personally that you feel like you've been able to overcome it? Like when you walk into a room for an audition and all the faces turn towards you, you know, because they're looking you up and down and judging you. Like, how do you break the ice with those, you know, with your competitors?
Well, I've been told a lot, actually, that my face, the expression on my face doesn't really match my personality.
Okay.
So I might look like I'm unapproachable or like I'm not smiling a lot, but then when I talk, people are actually surprised. They're like, oh, you seem like you're not this way. So what I try to do, just kind of like shift the energy in the room, is I just start talking to people. I just, you know, I try to stay positive. I have strike conversations, kind of have like the room laughing a little bit so that it's not awkward. Like, I'm not your competition. I just want to be, like, we should all just be friends. Like, I should be able to give you advice and you should be able to give me advice. Like, if I went into the audition room and I already auditioned, I'll come out and I'll tell the person next to me, like, just so you know, do this and this and this, you know?
Yeah, I'm the same way too.
Yeah.
Well, Sahar, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It was great getting to meet you.
Nice
I'm
to
so
meet
excited
you
you get to like do your football thing and all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.